So today, we volunteered at a farm that gives food to food banks. So we volunteered at a food bank before, but this time we decided to go like one step removed. So we volunteered at the farm that gives food to the food banks.
To the warehouse, to the food.
To the warehouse, to the food banks. And so we picked broccoli. It was very fun. Actually, it was very fun. We got very muddy. We tried to pick cabbage, but we got a bit too squeamish about the bugs. Because the cabbage, you have to like separate the leaves. Basically, you're just like looking for bugs. And
Yeah, and Napa cabbage.
yeah, Napa cabbage. I didn't enjoy that. But we did the broccoli. It was very fun. And so you had to have like a cutter. So my dad cut the broccoli out, and then we had to break off the stems. So I broke off the stems, and we had a bunch of bags, like a bunch of bags, and then we put the broccolis in the bags. They were big. They were like this big, like huge kind of. And there were some like broccolinis that were like this big, but they were like all over the place. They were very large. And then we met someone there who we bagged with. We did the bagging, and then we had to have someone run to the bin and put the broccolis. And we did a lot. We did like a full farm row of broccoli picking.
Yeah. There were a lot of people there.
There
Maybe
were
like 50
a lot
people,
of people there. Like
something like that, maybe 50.
lots of here now. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, so this farm had broccoli, Napa cabbage, and green cabbage, which was not ripe yet.
They had other stuff too, but yeah.
Yeah, but this section of it was that. I don't know if they only, like what the relationship was with the food bank, but obviously we were picking for the food bank this time.
Yeah, it said like food bank farm.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the food bank's own farm or they had donated this harvest to the food bank. I don't know. They have signs for like permanent signs for food bank farm. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
They did? They had that?
Well, it had a sign, but I don't know how permanent it was.
Okay. Yeah, but it was nice. It was a lot of kids. Like half maybe kids. Everyone had kids.
Yeah, it was like a family event,
Yeah.
like a family weekend kind of thing.
Yeah, and I sort of knew that when I signed up for the volunteering. It was different groups, and they only had certain number of spots. I think if once this farm fills up, they go to a different farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was very fun. It wasn't like we stayed for maybe 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
After that, everything had been picked.
Yeah, all the broccoli was done.
Yeah.
It was...
But we were very efficient, and we were kind of racing the other people because we got there a bit late, but we were trying to see how fast we could go.
I think overall we probably picked more than the other people because we were going so fast.
Yeah, because if however much like you don't pick, I think that just doesn't get picked. I think they just have the volunteers pick the vegetables, and then whatever else is just not.
I think something like other people will pick it next day.
Yeah, but whatever. That it's like a volunteer farm. It's not like So we tried to pick as much as possible, and we did a lot. Like we were going to count the number of bags of broccoli we did, but we were going too fast and there were too many bags, so we didn't count.
Yeah.
But yes, and we were very efficient with it. Like you would cut it, and then I would just like break it off, and we'd have a bag, and I'd have a bag. It would be very fast. But yes, very efficient. Apparently, there were spiders too, but I didn't see any. Actually, I saw like a few, but
it was. You know what was interesting to me is how little of the plant we actually eat.
Yes, the plant is like a huge plant. It's like it's like the
whole bush.
It's like a bush. It's a bush, and then we eat like this much of it. The rest is leaves, but the leaves are edible. There are some people who at the end were taking home leaves. At the end, we got to take home a bag. We I think the bag we took home was one of the bags that we did, but, like, it was yeah, everyone just put it in a big bin, so think
Yeah.
but yeah, and then we got a Napa cabbage, like a small one, but I wanted to, like, try and see if I could turn that into kimchi.
But I was sad about the amount. I mean, cabbage, a lot of it is like a higher percentage of the cabbage plant was going to be, even when they had to cut off the
The
bunks,
leaves for all the
everything. Yeah. But the broccoli was like,
it was a
you
huge
go back
thing.
into the farm, you look back into the farm,
It
it's
looks
like
like
it looks like
it's a full field. It's
it's
a
a
full
yeah,
field of
like you have to go and look to see.
yeah,
Oh yeah, the broccoli head is missing from this. Like
yeah,
otherwise, it looks like the whole plant is still there.
yeah, and then but if you go to the cabbage thing, it's like
Yeah, the
everything
cabbage
is
you go
flat.
back to like bare ground basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything is, like, flat.
yeah. But it's
But also, I feel like, well, if those leaves are edible, then they should, like, I'm sure, you know what? I'm sure, like, it has, I don't know, probably under a different name, like some bleak, like, vegetable, but people, like, can make stuff out of that, and then it would show up on,
it
like, a
might be
food
too
thing.
bitter or something. Like it's too probably too bitter for salads.
Well, I ate some of those.
I don't know why.
Well, if people were taking them home, then it has to be, like, a stir fry or something,
Yeah,
you know? Like, a lot of vegetables are bitter when you don't.
true. Like anyway, I didn't understand that part. I'm like, why not harvest
Because
the whole thing?
I'm sure you could just, like, give it to some fancy chef, like, five-star Michelin chef guy, and he would turn it into some fancy looking thing,
Yeah,
and then fancy people would eat it, but it's, like,
but
the
I
part
think
that
they
we don't eat.
yeah, but I think all they do is just take it and like turn it into animal feed. And it's not gonna go to waste.
It's not yeah, no.
It's
It's
just gonna
just
go to
humans aren't gonna eat it, but
yeah, it's just
it's
gonna go
gonna
to
be
cows
used.
and the sheep.
There were cows on the plate on the farm,
Yeah.
but
So
they weren't meat cows, they were dairy cows.
yeah. Um, you want to say why we went to the food farm?
Yes, so recently, because of the government shutdown, it's the longest government shutdown ever, and because of it, a lot of systems don't have funding. So, for example, the airports, I think it's something like the top 40 airports or something. Like a lot of the airports are experiencing delays
Yeah.
or what kind of stuff. Like heavy delays, especially with new holiday traffic. Some of the TSA agents, a lot of them aren't. I think it's actually all. TSA agents aren't getting paid anymore, and then they're just waiting for back pay. But as the more the shutdown stretches on, the harder it is, and so they're all severely understaffed, and a lot of people aren't getting paid for their
Yeah. The flight
jobs.
attendants are not getting paid. They're
But
gonna
yeah,
they're gonna be on back pay.
yeah.
Um,
One of
yeah.
my friend's mom is a flight attendant.
Okay.
But like yeah, it's and also because due to the government shutdown, the SNAP food benefits, so it's food stamps, like, yeah, food stamps are they're going out because the government doesn't
They're
have enough money to
unfunded right
fund it.
now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is a huge deal because a lot of people rely on those food stamps. It's not um people who it's not people who are like it's for people who need the food. The food is going to people who need it,
Yeah.
and especially
So
children of people, mostly children.
it's mostly 70% children.
Yeah, it's mostly just children who are hungry and need food. And at my school, they made announcements like some kids, some kids are not going to be eating because of the food shutdown, and that is devastating because imagine having to go to school on an empty stomach and be hungry. Like if you were just to do a test and or any sort of schoolwork while you haven't eaten for a day or more, that's going to be hard for you, understandably so. And without the food without the SNAP food benefits, that's going to happen to a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And at my school, they're starting food drives, and a lot of people in my school are volunteering at food banks because they've recognized that this is a problem that is going to affect people, and people who can help, like food banks and food drives and whatnot, are really needed right now because of the food SNAP food shutdown.
Hmm. Yeah. And the longer it drags out, it's not like the people that are relying on food stamps. It's not like they have a pantry of stuff saved for later. They rely they
They're
rely on
waiting
that
every
to
month.
like,
They wait for the food. They're
yeah,
not.
they use that for their daily purchase. They use the food stamps for their daily or weekly purchase. They don't have a whole pantry of saved up food. Like, you remember during the pandemic, people went and bought a whole bunch of food and stuff, like just so
Yeah,
they
we
don't have
had
to go
like
to grocery stores or whatever.
yeah, basically.
Um, that is not the normal situation. The normal situation is people are dealing with an empty fridge, an empty house from food perspective, and then they use the food stamp benefits to go and buy things. There's Yeah, the arguments for people dragging their feet in Congress, dragging their feet to fund that is like, well, we've seen people like buy caviar with it or whatever. I don't know what they're
That's
saying.
no, like some yeah, no, I heard about that.
Some ridiculous.
Some person said that like you can buy caviar and stuff. People who are using these food stamps aren't buying anything on people who are using these food stamps are using them because they are relying on these food stamps to feed
Mhm.
themselves, and most of it is going to children. These are going to hungry people who need the food, people who are working, people who are studying, people who are in school, and they need the food to help as a member of the society.
Yeah. The other thing that people might not know if they're not familiar with the program is that it's not like you get this um, check or like credit card and you can go buy whatever food you want with it. It the food
It's
the
food
food stamps,
stamps, so it's
it only pays for certain items. Like you
it's
can
for
buy,
specific food. Like you get
yeah,
oranges food stamps, and you can get oranges.
no, like you can buy bread, but you can't buy croissant. You can buy you can't buy pie with it, for example. There's like things that are, I don't know, maybe you can buy pie, but like in general, you can't buy things that are deemed as unnecessary or fancy or upgrades. You can buy the essentials. So um, it has a whole bunch of restrictions in it already. Over the years, it's been a favorite program for people that are very conservative on the fiscal policy, um, to beat down and say this is unnecessary, this is unnecessary. So there's a whole bunch of restrictions on that program already that prevents all these like ideas of abuse in general. So if there is someone that's buying caviar with it, that is some sort of loophole that is going to be, as soon as it's known, it gets closed. That is not what the program is supposed to be. And if that happens, it gets corrected. It's not
And and also
like a
people
normal
and
situation.
also people who are getting these food stamps. I mean, people who are getting these food stamps are relying on these food stamps. And no one who is relying on these food stamps is going to necessarily want to buy caviar as opposed to buy a week's worth of groceries
Yeah.
for their family.
Yeah, in general, rather than the rest of the society in general, we operate our society in a way of it's better to have some abuse and not, but in order to limit the pain on the most vulnerable. Usually, that's how we operate. It's like it's better to let some guilty people go than to have an innocent person in jail.
Yeah.
Right? In general, that's what we want. Like you could have a different perspective. You can have say we're okay with some innocent people in jail as long as we catch every criminal. Like that would be another way of doing things. That's not how we do it. in this society, we are doing presumption of innocence, presumption of
Innocent until proven
right.
guilty.
So we let some, of course, do some criminals get away with it? Of course, but that is the design of the system in order to make sure that for sure we don't have someone that's guilty in jail. So when you
You mean
have
someone's innocent in jail.
someone that's innocent in jail, so when you have a wrongfully accused person in jail, that's like a very painful situation,
Especially if,
right?
yeah, for actually any reason.
Yeah. In the same way, the same thing should be applied to this food stamp situation, where we would rather, like I would say, it would be in line with the rest of how the society works to have. We would rather have some abuse in the system in order to not have children go hungry, right? I would accept the situation where we could say, well, no, no, we definitely don't want any abuse. Well, that means that some children are going to be hungry,
Some children are going to be hungry
right?
regardless.
I understand, but the situation we should resolve it with from the perspective of
Good of the
so
good of the many.
let's resolve it for a situation where most children are not going to go hungry, and if that means that we are going to have to work hard to close loopholes for abuse, we'll do that,
Yeah.
right? So when people point out the abuse, they're like, "Well, no, we can't have this program because look at the abuse." Like, no, that is intended. That's how this is. That is, we understand. That's how we set it up, and it's on us to make sure the abuse doesn't happen. And we can't say because of the abuse we're going to scrap the system. That makes no sense. That's not how we usually operate these things, or it's not. It's not supposed to be how we operate. Anyway, it's a program that is so essential, and it's very painful for it to be for that program to be used as a tool to force the government shutdown to be ending. People are like, "Oh, look at all the food stamp issue." Well, no, food stamp should be funded regardless of the government shutdown.
Yeah. Like, there are other things that aren't shutting down during this government shutdown.
Yeah,
And the thing that I think should be maintained the most is the food stamps.
yeah.
Because food insecurity and hungry people is not an issue that
Hungry
we
children. Like, let's
hungry
be clear.
children,
It's mostly children.
it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
majority
like
children.
we
We
somehow
that
deem
should
deem
not be
flight what do you call it,
flight delays, flight attendants.
flight attendants and air traffic controllers. We're like, okay, no, these people need to come to work, even if they're unpaid, need to come to work. But we don't apply the same attitude towards the children getting their food. We should say, no, the children gotta get the food, and then we'll figure out
Oh,
the payment for it later, right?
yeah,
It should be that, but it's not. It's right now. It's like, okay, well, this is not essential. We will pause it until we have the actual fiscal funding for it. It makes no sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we tried to do little bit of help that we could do with. I think most of it was what I wanted to do was just bring the awareness to the school. The school is saying something, and let's try to organize the people. Let's try to organize some of the students to go and actually do some help.
And
Um,
even if
yeah.
some people, like, had conflicting schedule conflicts.
Mhm.
First of all, some of my friends who said, "Oh, sorry, I can't come," they said, "'Cause I'm sorry, I can't come because I'm volunteering somewhere else,"
Yeah, that's
which
great.
is like,
Yeah,
well, then that's okay.
yeah.
And then other people said, "Oh, it's too far, it's not feasible," but I was still able to tell them about
Mhm.
the food shortages, which
Right.
is honestly spreading awareness is what matters.
Yeah. I think what we want to do is
Especially since there sorry, especially since there is a food drive at my school and people can help out closer in ways like that.
yeah. It's all hands on deck. It's
Yeah.
everyone should do whatever they can at the time that they can. Um, I would it would be nice if the people in Congress were like as
All hands on deck. Like,
was all as on hands on deck
how is
also.
it that my school has organized, like,
Yeah.
food bank and food drive, and we can't do anything to actually fix the problem of students going hungry? Like, there it's and I honestly, I did not know about the food SNAP benefits before they shut down.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people probably didn't know before they shut down. But people who rely on the food SNAP benefits, this is a big major part of their life, and it's very real. I know if you don't know about something prior, it might not feel very relevant to you, but one thing I like about being in a public school is that though some things may not apply to me and though I might not feel things personally, I know other people will. And I know that I can rely on that setting to inform me of things that I don't particularly feel as a direct impact, but other people
Right.
might. So they like every day for the past week since the food shutdown has happened or has been anticipated to happen, um, they have said they've sent you emails, they have gone over the intercom, said, Because of this, some people in our school
Mhm.
might not be eating
Right.
because they might not be able to get food through the SNAP benefits,
Mhm.
and so they organized food drives. There's like a
Yeah.
bin of non-perishable foods, and I've seen, you know, like mini libraries, I've seen them converted into
Oh,
food
really?
drives.
That's really cool.
I've seen them like, "No books, please." Instead, there's food, and there's like almost always there's non-perishable food items in the food drives, and they like it all goes to food banks and to
Mhm.
help people. And I think it's also great that at school everyone is willing if they hear their friend doesn't have food for a day or is missing a lunch, everyone is ready and willing to give food directly to people
Mhm.
to help them in that way.
Yeah.
But if people aren't talking about it and not making sure that people know how big a deal it is, then
Yeah, like when you're hungry, when kids are hungry, there's nothing more you can do. Your brain is just not gonna operate,
yeah,
right? It's
you can
basically
try as hard as you can, but
you can.
if you haven't eaten for a day or two,
Yeah, that's the only thing you can think about. That's the only yeah. So obviously, at the school is where you feel it the most. Yeah, children going being hungry and not having food, you will see it definitely at school, and the teachers will notice. They notice, hey, this is something going on in these kids. They're not responding. Um, and the food stamp program covers the kids outside of school because kids get school lunch, so that
yeah.
part is covered. So they can come to school and eat, but when they go home, there's no more food.
Mhm.
So they eat when they come to school, and then there's no more food.
They get one meal a day, and the
Yeah,
school lunch meals aren't well funded either. So that's like the meal they get, the
yeah.
food a day at school.
But there's a lot of I mean, that's how poverty works for when you it's a reality for a lot of kids with or like people that are on the cusp or in the poverty already. Sometimes the only food they get is from school.
Yeah, and like there was also before the SNAP shutdown during COVID, there was news about how I guess maybe it's not as like widely seen because the
Mhm.
government shutdown affects more people, but there was a lot of news stories about how
Yeah.
kids aren't getting food because they usually get food from school, and so there were a lot of
Mhm.
schools that coordinated to have students come up to like a window or something. I think I read like a news story about how students would come up to a window and they
Yeah.
could get
They
food
still get their school food
yeah,
because that covers
because
their food for like
that
that's at
is
least
their
one of
food.
their
Yeah,
meals, if not maybe sometimes the only meal that they have.
yeah,
And when the schools were closed during COVID, that was very bad. So yeah, I remember when our school was open for that specific reason. Okay, we're closed for school, but we're going to be open for lunch.
yes.
Yeah. So no, I think that was I was very happy with having the opportunity to go out and go to the farm, do some help, be a little bit closer to the solution in the problem, right?
Yeah.
And not just feel the problem and like feel like you're not doing like you feel sort of like paralyzed and not being able to do something about it. But you go out there and you try something, you try to do your part, and you hope at least it gives me more hope
Yeah.
that if we are able to do something from our side, hopefully other people do something more
And
for their side.
that's why it was really nice to see that a lot of people showed up
Yeah.
for the um what was it we did? For the harvesting that we did.
Mhm.
And it was nice to see that other people, we talked to someone who does maybe volunteer work more often than we do, and she was saying how a lot of people showed up today, and that's probably because of the food stamp benefits. And it was nice to see that people also recognized the issue as we did
Mhm.
and decided also to come out
Yeah.
and contribute.
Yeah. So what I was saying about hope is, you know how when world is like falling apart and you feel hopeless, feel like, oh, everything is bad. I have like the future is dark. Um, the way to build hope back in yourself is to go do something, do some volunteer work, or do something that you feel like, hey, I'm doing something about it. So it
I
for
can't,
my brain,
yeah,
like it stands to reason that other people might be also doing something about it. That other people are doing something about it gives you hope,
yes,
right? So you do something about it, you feel like, okay, well, if I'm doing it, you're doing it, and she's doing it, and he's doing it, that means other people are doing it. That means everyone's doing something about it. It's like there's hope, right?
yeah,
So you have now you build hope, but it's a multi-step process.
yes. It's like we do as much as we can, and if everyone does as much as we can, then together we will accomplish a
Exactly,
lot.
exactly. But if you don't do anything, then it's really difficult to have hope because you haven't even done anything.
Yes.
So if you haven't done anything, then it feels like, well, if I'm not doing anything, then nobody else is doing anything. Then that goes all like the reverse.
But if
It goes
you, yeah, especially if you do something that's volunteering in a group, you can also see that, oh,
yeah,
look, there's other people volunteering with me. We're all trying to do something together. And we're all like combating this issue together. Especially if you're able to volunteer maybe once or twice and you realize that, okay, this is what I'm doing to help, and I can also inspire others to help. So organizing a
yeah,
group of friends, or like putting up, I don't know, like if you're in a school, telling your school or your principal about how they can help as well.
yeah. But it's okay.
And we're lucky to live in an area that is very supportive and is very um like helping.
Yeah, although I think that's the case for everywhere. I think
Yeah.
people in general are supportive. If they know about the situation, if they know about
That's
the
why it's
problem,
important to
people
let
in
people
general,
know.
yeah, people in general are the lack of information is what drives a lot of these issues. So just being aware, like you get closer to the solution,
And
that
also,
gets
yeah.
your friends to be able to get closer to the solution. And then that sort of spreads over time.
And also spreading accurate information is important because there's a lot of disinformation about like, oh, these food SNAP benefits are being used for caviar
Right.
and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
But telling people that this is majority children, majority hungry children who need the food to function cognitively.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, that was fun. Yeah.
Yes. It was very fun. It's also fun to volunteer. It's like, it's,
I mean, it
yeah,
just like,
it's fun to help.
like, I think spending time in a farm and just like cutting vegetables by itself is fun, regardless of the thing that you're doing for that activity by itself. Like getting muddy and like
And
dealing with vegetables is
yeah.
that was fun by itself.
And it doesn't have to be, it can be just volunteering at a local food bank. I know there's our West Seattle Food Bank, a lot of people are volunteering there,
Hmm.
especially since like schools a lot of the time have community service hours, and
Yeah,
volunteering for local food and bank and food and security institutions. It's a good
yeah,
way to
that
help
that
out.
is for sure. Yeah.
Yay! Bye bye.